Good afternoon. This is Debra V. Wilson. It is the 2nd of June 2018, Saturday. The time is 1800 hours and 9 minutes, and that's GMT minus 6. Happy Pride weekend and Pride week from Winnipeg, Manitoba. I had intended earlier today to attend the Trans March, but I got delayed in my schedule, and unfortunately I missed it. But I did journey to the Forks to attend some Pride events, and also, as it happens, to hear a military band playing. It was raining, so that impacted my day and how I constructed the day and how I assigned meaning to the day. And that's the reason why, in all honesty, that I sat and listened to the military band, because it provided some shelter. And things were slow in starting for Pride events because of the rain, and I think unfortunately it also impacted the turnout. So in any case, back to the military band. It was very interesting, and I'll post some information about them. I'm not a musician, so forgive me for my lack of appropriate terms. But my focus and my passion and my joy and my academic endeavors are around understanding how civil society experiences in response to national security modeling, and how that response, that back and forth between civilians, civil society, and the state, the people who construct national security models and implement them and run them, how those dynamics, the relational dynamics between the experiences of civil society and their responses and the state, how those dynamics impact security for all of us. Those are, for lack of a better term, that's the binary in which I'm looking at. And in that binary, civil society and the state, I need to understand the pieces. Canada is very new for me, and so I'm still trying to understand the national security modeling and how it's done here. My experiences in the UK, and I actually think, even given its these security apparatuses like MI5 and UK terrorism police, back in the day I referred to them as special branch, those are closed entities because they're intelligence communities. But the way I experience speaking of how you experience a national security model, it is a challenge, and it has been a quite arduous challenge understanding how CSIS constructs itself, the Canadian Security Intelligence Service. And so with that in mind, and in addition, I have, I think, not been the quickest in understanding the role that the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and other pieces of the security model, how they play and interact with each other, and what part they play in keeping Canada, where I live, safe. So whenever I can get to someone in the national security model, for instance, the RCMP, I'm right there asking a series of questions, doing my interviewing wherever and whenever it's possible. When I get opportunities, which are more often, to interview civil society about the ways in which they experience national security and how Canada keeps us safe, it's a gift. Pride weekend is a gift for me. So whilst I missed the Trans March, I was able to sit, again, first of all, and listen to this military band and watch the crowd. It wasn't a particularly large crowd because it was raining, and although there was some shelter, it was still raining, and it's a bit chilly here in Winnipeg. I got a chance to watch the crowd and how they experienced this uniformed band. I got to see yet another aspect of the defense system, which is part of security. And my Canadian forces may not be the focus of my research, but it definitely is of interest to me, because that is yet another piece that of Canadian government that constructs itself as keeping us safe. It was interesting to watch the music the band chose. It was interesting to watch the response of the people. It was interesting to watch to look at the uniforms, the pressed and perfectly cut and perfectly fitted. And speaking of fit, the band members were all fit and orderly and disciplined. And so it was interesting to see how, even in their musical performance, how they constructed their role and their identity. After the performance was over, which was very interesting, it was good and enjoyable, I went and introduced myself to the conductor, young man. I'm 60. If he's 30, he's a very youthful looking 30. He was a young man. And in the brief conversation I had with him, I saw, even as I told him the research I was doing, he assumed responsibility in communicating what he knew and understood his responsibilities to be. He also told me who and how to reach out for additional information. It was a fascinating, brief but fascinating conversation, and it was interesting that this young man immediately stood to attention and assumed responsibility of communicating. After I introduced myself and said, I'm an academic, I do research on Canada's national security model and how it's experienced by civil society. Oh, and he just immediately, and it was interesting that that's how he saw himself in his role. The rain lightened up a bit, and I made my way back to the part of the Forks where the Pride events were going on. And I'll link the band, Pride, Winnipeg Pride. I'll provide links in the podcast description box, and the Forks, just so you get an additional sense of Winnipeg if you're not from the area. And again, the crowd was light, but I had the opportunity to talk to several people from a myriad of ethnicities. People here in Winnipeg are extremely approachable, and then again, I found people in London, England, extremely approachable. So it's easy I experience it, easy to engage with people and ask how and why they're here and how they're experiencing Pride Winnipeg weekend in this particular place in the Forks. Because it's Pride weekend, a significant percentage of people who are in attendance are from the LGBTQI community, which is still a marginalized community globally. In places like Winnipeg, there is relatively a high degree of safety, but still, it is a marginalized community. So that was interesting to engage with people. It was interesting to walk around the event because, yet again, I'm being repetitive, I do know that. There weren't the crowds, unfortunately, because of the rain. It was really quite empty, unfortunately. Again, the rain. And I saw the services available, and I saw the organizations giving voice to who they are, and the services that are paid are available specifically to the LGBTQI community or T's. And that was interesting. It was interesting to say hello to people that I knew. It was interesting to see the myriad of ethnicity on display. It was interesting to see people from, I am Muslim, visible Muslim people in attendance. It was wonderful to see that, and it's nothing like Winnipeg for dispelling stereotypes and myths and negative narratives about diversity. Winnipeg continues to challenge all that seek to small her. So it was heartfelt to see. Winnipeg is a majority white city, but it was certainly in brown, black, all manner of ethnicities involved in giving service and volunteering their time. That was wonderful. Also, there was a great deal of diversity in the people who were providing our security to keep us safe, and how that was interesting to talk to some of those people and how they experienced their job. Most of them volunteers, and they, I want to say, still took their role of keeping us safe and sound and protected seriously. I'm going to do an additional podcast on Pride Winnipeg, but there are a few more events I need to attend. But today's event was academically enriching as well as emotionally edifying, dare I say. And I needed to say something. I needed to say something because it's Pride Weekend here in Winnipeg, and that's very important to me. And I needed to say something because of the importance of the wonderful things that are happening in Winnipeg. I am getting choked up because I think with all of her challenges, and Winnipeg has considerable challenges, as a city, she continually struggles to raise her head above those who seek less for her. And I think Pride Weekend is yet another example of where the city refuses to be smalled, littled, or belittled. I wasn't able to take very many pictures. I'm not a photographer, even at the best of times. And today I had a photographic meltdown. Okay, so I will endeavor to do better tomorrow if possible. If not, in any case, as I said, I want to do another podcast on Pride Weekend here in Canada. I'm sorry, Winnipeg, Manitoba, here in Canada. I stand corrected. With that, because like I said, I am emotional, it was a wonderful few hours spent in my city, Winnipeg, and in my country, Canada. This is Debra V. Wilson in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Happy Pride.